Imagine this. You are a creator on Hopscotch, like me, and you have a great idea for a platformer game, but don't know how the physics for a platformer game work. Fear not, my friend, because that is exactly what we're going to talk about. By the end of this video, you'll know the basics of how I code platformer games like this. So let's just jump on in. Now you are going to need a version of Hopscotch for this, and some basic experience with how to use the blocks. Just watch some tutorials or something, you'll get the hang of it eventually. This is Bird. They can't do anything yet, because they have no code attached to them. So, let's make something happen. Let's take a look inside. So you see here that we have these options. You're gonna want to start with when game is playing. Drag that inside of Bird's insides. Now let's scroll over here to one of these movement options. We're gonna do change Y by and do -100. But what does that do? You're about to find out. That's it? It just falls? Well, this is a key part of creating platformers. The gravity. The next thing to do is to give Bird a platform to stand on. So let's go over here, grab a flat shape, like this Tetris line, and then make it big, and then place it under the bird. Then you go back to Bird's insides and do when Bird is touching Tetris line, you give an upward force of also 100? You see, the problem with that is, if two things are pushing at each other with the same force, eventually one of them's gonna win. Which means Bird is just gonna be falling right through that line. So what you really want to do is make that line push twice as hard as the bird, so Bird can stand firm on that ground. Another important part of platformer games is the jumping. So let's go ahead and add a jump button to our game. Okay, now we've got our jump button. We can go ahead and put it off to the side here, make it bigger. Let's go back to Bird and tell them how to respond to us tapping the jump button. Once again, you want to scroll over to the change Y by. And here you can go ahead and experiment with jump height a bit. I mean, I settled on 150 for the jump height here, but if your game needs a little bit more, go ahead and put more. Testing little things like this goes a long way in making sure your game feels fun to control. Alright, now I've got my left and right arrows here for going forward and for going backward, or going to the right and to the left. Now let's add a little bit more code to our dear friend Bird. We're gonna do when the left arrow is pressed, change X by -100 because they are going to the left and not to the right. Same thing with the right arrow, except you're changing X by +100. Now we test, and look at that. Bird is roaming freely on the line. Congratulations, you just made your first platformer game. Wow, I did, didn't I? But this game is really boring. Don't worry, now that you learn the basics, you can start adding some cool stuff to your game. Like more platforms to jump on. Or maybe you could try making some enemies. Have fun making your games!